All right, welcome back everyone. I hope you've been enjoying what we're doing so far. So let's continue from where we stopped. All right, so we were working on the invitation form. We laid out the foundation for the invitation system, okay? Again, I'm just laying out the foundations for everything. Then I go on into each module and finalize the details. All right. So employees and clients, we do need to have the tab bars for them. All right. So let's work on clients first. And we are under resources, client pages, and list. Yep, we removed the header action. Later, let's add a note for ourselves at invite button, which is just a shortcut to the invite form, or maybe a modal window. We'll think about that later. All right, so now let's steal some tabs that we've done before, which I do believe we've done on the contracts. Yep, there we go. All right, so now it is user status, because remember, it is a user after all. And then we want to say where the user status count. But also, before we do the count, we need to apply the client scope. Right? Okay, and then we do need to show the, oh, do we have it here? No, we don't have it. So let's show the table as well, the status under the table. So that's contract, not clients. So client table, name, then status, so text column, make for the status, and we're gonna make it a batch as well. All right, so for employees, we're going to do the same exact thing. And also the employee, we will remove this because employee also is an invitation. So we are going to import app module user, but this one we do employee instead of, and we need to show the status in the table as well. Let's keep our style. And that is supposed to be a badge and not searchable. All right, that's better. All right, let's see what else is a generic models that require. Okay, the invitation, we need to know sent at and accepted at, which we don't believe we've done that. So let's go back to create invitation table. And we going to need sent at. Well, sent at doesn't need to be nullable, because when we send it, we will update that straight away. And accepted at, which is going to be nullable. So that being said, when we go to the invitation now, which is under cluster, and then under the create, we do need to set sent at to none. And when we accept it later, we will handle this. Okay. There isn't much to do in this one yet. Let's create the reviews. So PHP artisan make model for the review with a migration. And then create reviews. We said this one is going to be a polymorphic relationship, right? So it's a polymorphic relationship because everything or anything in the system can be reviewable. So reviewer ID, we don't need, or should we? Should we use a unique key for it, or we just say user underscore ID, or we say author ID, okay? And we need to know, and the rating, which is default to 1. We need to know the comments of, we're not going to allow, should we allow an empty review? No, it needs to be content. And since this is a polymorphic, we say morphs into reviewable, because anything and everything can be reviewable. So we need to have an app migration of, all right, so let's go to the model. We are going to extend our app model instead of model, and we need to do the fillable, which is going to be author ID, rating, content, reviewable ID, reviewable type, which is the morphs. And then we need to copy over those ones as well. and reviewable, which is a morph 2. And then we can, in this case, that's pretty much it, right? It is. All right. Let's see, do we have anything else we left? Procedure activities. What did we do here with the procedure activities? I don't think procedure activities is something. Okay. The procedure activities is if a procedure need to have a specific action, okay, like a site induction, for example, or a quick training of some sort. So what is the best name for it instead of procedure activities? And by the way, procedure activities will fall under the operations. Actually, no. Policies and procedures should be part of the compliance. So we might give it a different name. Yeah. All right. So first, let's make the navigation group. So we start from operation, scheduling, accounts. Incident report is really important. So should be compliance, operations, or if we want to follow the natural flow of the actions, it should be accounts first, because that's where we onboard everything into the system, and then compliance, where we specify the policies and procedures and general reports, and then operations or scheduling. I would say compliance, operations, scheduling, because onboarding clients and employees in contract is not a day-to-day. It's not going to happen every day and every week. Scheduling is going to happen daily basis. Operations are daily basis, and compliance is not. So operations, scheduling, then compliance. All right, so case compliance, and then in the provider, is that where we make those navigation? Yeah, so scheduling accounts. First, let's do ops, schedule or actually the compliance. And then we should move policies into compliance. Procedures goes to compliance. And yeah, that's a better arrangement. Okay, then we have reviews and reports as well. So we should have reports, PHP artisan make model for the report with a migration. Okay, so create reports. So app migration, migrate the table, and we need to know reported by, or let's call it author ID. So we'll refer to the report author, and we definitely need the title, and we need the actual content, and we already have attachments. That make me think, no, let's keep incident report separate from the report, because that's really important to be on its own. And do we want to have reportable? No, because reports should be isolated. All right, could be a general report. Okay, so we extend our app model, and we need to have the fillable, which is, there is no name here, it's title, description, author ID, and the rest of those fields. And we just need to know the author ID. So review, did we say author ID? So again, author. So that makes us need to go to the created, and we grab the created reviews, and we need the so create reviews. Let's just review that quickly. It is author ID, yep. So it's not created by, it is author ID. And then we have the reports. As well. Okay, so for the report, you know what? Well, I will leave the rest of the fields of the report, like the templates, blah, 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 for later. But also don't forget that we have meta and the meta field, which is a JSONB, where we can build a complicated template for the report. And the reason for this is the idea that this is the base platform. Okay, so I create the base platform, and then when I go to my clients, okay, my clients, which is the company who will be using this platform, when I take the shape of how their report needs to be, what are the fields, what are, you know, anything else, that all goes into the meta, right? And because of that, I don't have to restructure the database for them. And because it's a JSONB, I still can do a lot of other actions, like, you know, searching, indexing. I can use accessors and mutators to do everything else. So the actual backend, the database shape is not going to change, but I can have a more flexible control in the business logic, which makes it easier and more flexible for my clients and for me to adapt their needs through this little technique. Okay, that means I don't need to do extra here. All I need to know for now is the author. If they are still creating the reports which need a status field and also create incident report, because they may not be creating the reports right away. They might be writing it on multiple stages, right? So we forgot to add some statuses. All right, so let's add a PHP artisan make enum for the report status, and I reuse the report status for both reports or any report. So report status, which is of type string, and it has a label, and we're going to use our app enum, and it only draft and publish. That's it. And let's do has color and has icon at the same time. So let's implement those two methods. In the get color, let's return match this with the draft being secondary, or let's go with info, and publish success. And for this one, let's return a pen and a tick in a circle. Beautiful. So now incident reports can have an enum of status, and it is of type report status values, and the default obviously is the draft with a value. The same thing will be applicable. I need a semicolon here. The same thing is applicable to this one as well, which means in the reports we need extra cast, which is casting the status to report status. And in the incident report, we do have an incident status. What? No, that's got nothing to do with it. But that's a conflict in the name, because here we say incident status, and here we say status. So that's a duplicate key. That's definitely gonna fail, right? So instead of being status, because status makes more sense to be for if it's published or not. What is the status here? It's either open, as in still being investigated, or closed, as in it's been resolved and worked on. but we can change that incident report status here to resolution instead of status. Well, in this case, it means this one is going to be of resolution and the status will be of report status. Much better. All right, let's see how far do we need to roll back to get this done. All right, so that's invitation, incident reports, beautiful. That's what we wanted, which means we can migrate the new one. All right, so let's create PHP artisan make a filament resource for the report, and the report has a title and not in cluster. We want, and we don't want a, let's pick a nice report. And let's use carbon report for the icon. Reports. So carbon icon reports. And the navigation group would be with the app navigation of compliance value. All right, so the incident reports as well, it is part of the it's part of the compliance as well, but since it belongs to the activities, we will keep it under the operations. And reports, they are just generic reports, could be anything for anything, so we place it under compliance. Reviews, on the other hand, we need to let's make it for now, we'll decide later. So another resource, PHP artisan make filament resource for the review, and the review, let's deal with the ID, I guess, and not in a cluster. We want read and we don't want, let's see, do we have a rating here? Review. Carbon review with a star. Yep, I guess that makes sense. So reviews, carbon icons review, and a navigation group would be in the app navigation of compliance as well. Let's keep it under compliance for now. And that's not compliance. All right, so what else do I need to prepare? I need to prepare the notifications. All right. So let's pick on the documentations and notifications. We need to activate database notifications. All right, so we need to create the table. And before we migrate, especially we are working on Postgres, I do believe we need to change that to JSON. Yeah, so if you are using Postgres, make sure that data table or the data column and the migration using JSON instead of text. So this one needs to be JSON. Okay, so now we can PHP artisan migrate, which will migrate the newly created migration. And then in the provider, we activate the database notification. So let's do it here. Database notification. Let's see how that's going to look like. And it is under here. All right, so that's what we want. Next, we do need to use broadcasting. So let's enable broadcasting, but broadcasting require I do believe we already published. Yep, we did publish that previously. So filament here, we just need to uncomment echo. And I don't believe we installed broadcasting, so we need to install reverb and activate broadcasting. So install broadcasting. Do you want to install Laravel reverb? Yes. Would you like to install reverb? Yes. Would you like to build? Yes. All right, what else do we need to do? That's pretty much it is. And we need to update the keys if it hasn't been updated. So in our .env, it has been updated. So we don't need to do that. We can now start it. And to start it, running the server, we just run the command, and reverb port is 8080 here. Right, so we just make sure our port is 8080, and we do need to run PHP artisan queues to work as well. All right, so that should, in theory, make it happen, but not allow cross origin. Okay, the host is schema is HTTPS, is it? No, it is HTTP. There's something else is going on. Well, actually, that's not even, that's a whole different thing. You must pass your app key when you instantiate pusher. Okay, all right. So I do believe the keys here are different for whatever reason that is. That's why it's not picking up on the key, because here it says vit pusher app key, and it says here vit reverb app key. So key, host, and port, and port, and the schema I don't think we actually need the cluster anymore, but let's say whatever. That means we disable this one, and we disable this one, and restart here and restart here. Okay, what is this? What is that? Okay, so that is started, and this is started. Let's see. Okay, it is using pusher. Why it's using pusher.com? So host, reverb host, and host. Do I need to say per CrewSync dot test? Let's try that. And let's get the queues as well. And let's try that now. You know, let's do a hard refresh as well. Okay, that seems to be promising. Let's broadcast something to the user. We can use web.php in the invitation, or maybe should we create its own test URL? Yeah, better. Or it's the same anyway. So let's do this. Let's do this. So we're getting the auth user, and we just say, okay, broadcasting with that. So that means if I have another page, and I go to CrewSync test. That should broadcast that and broadcast with reverb. So okay, so reverb and WebSockets are working as intended. Cool. Alright, so we don't need this now anymore, and we don't need this. Okay. Okay, now what is next is controlling who access what. Now this dashboard is going to be for admin and super admin, right? So if we go to our roles, what do we have? Super admin and admin, which means we need a way to control the users, which we have it here. And we did that, did we? Yeah, we did that. We don't have search, so let's fix that. So users resource or user resource, which under cluster, is it? No, it's not under cluster. It is under cluster, but we kept it outside here. So in here, what do we want? The user name to be searchable. Okay. And if I search my name and my user, which doesn't have roles, so admin and super admin, and save. Now we can go to the user. And what do we want here? We want to extend, no, not extend, implement, what is it? Filament user, I think, yeah, filament user, which will require can access panel. That's the interface. So this one, if I return true, everything works as expected. If I return false, that should prevent me from accessing as expected. And to access the dashboard, we return this has the role of admin or super admin. Okay, so either of those roles will allow you to access it, which means later we can create the client panel, because I would rather create a specific panel for each user type rather than mantling with this panel, assuming if we decided to go the web route. But remember, the client and the employee should be using the Flutter app, okay? And that's why we're gonna need to prepare the API for them. Okay, so let's do the policy, okay? Because we need, so for example, right now, I can see everything, but that's a super admin role anyway, after all. So I would rather leave the policy to, yeah, I will leave the policy for later and let it be with, in conjunction with the API, with the REST API. All right, let's do a quick roster form. So filament resource for roster, and we need a form. And also we need to remember create rosters table, which has status start on, okay, so this is something probably is kind of wrong in our design, isn't it? Because we're saying just the user. We're not specifying the key, and the key is better to be employee ID. And in this case, we can just reuse the word employee. So from the roster model, rather than saying belong to user, we say belongs to employee and the user class, and then we say employee ID. In this case, it's more descriptive rather than just saying a user ID. So I will change this one to an employee ID. So let's see how far we need to go back in the migration. Quite sure it's going to be a bit. So that's another one. Timesheet. Yep. So that's as far as we can go. So now, rather than saying, did I delete the user as well? Yep, I did delete that. Oops. Oopsie. Okay. That's a good opportunity to do an admin, because now we need the role. So let's create an admin CEDA. So PHP artisan make CEDA for the admin CEDA. All right, so with the admin CEDA, what do I need to do? I need to create the user. So admin will be user, create, and what do we need to create? We need to create a name, which is my name, and email, which is email, a password, which is not a big crypt, I think it's hash make, but also we can use user factory. Yep, hash make password. Let's reuse the same technique. And that's pretty much right. So admin assign role of app role super admin, and admin save. So where is DB seed? And this is just using admin CEDA class and PHP artisan DB seed. And now we should be able to log in. What is it? Passport. Okay. Alrighty. And we have super admin here. Cool. Go back to what we were working on, which was rosters. Okay. So now, if I want to create the roster, let's do the usual. Let's make a group of column span full, and let's make it of columns, 3 columns. And inside that, we're going to have a group with column span of 2. There's one column span of 1. In here, I need to decide make the employee ID, okay? And the relationship is a employee, and I need to grab the name and also make it searchable. We'll definitely make it preload. The issue we will face here is it's going to load everybody. Okay, it's going to load everybody. So we do need to do what? Modify query, is it? Something query, modify get. Can't remember what it's called, but that's what the documentation is for. If we go to the selects, mutating, integrating, eloquent searching relationship options across multiple, customizing the relationship query. Okay, modify query using. There we go. It's a property in the relationship itself, which means we can do modify query using where we just say employee. Okay. We want employee and we want them active, right? And we want them active. So we need another scope of active. So that is where, and say where status this time, where the status is equal to user status active. Cool. All right, cool. So we need only employee and we need them only active. Of course, this is gonna return literally nothing because none of those users are employees or active. So let's pick one and let's give them employee. Okay. And we don't have a way to control if they are active or not active, but let's keep that in mind. Let's create a new roster and that should return literally 1. Okay. Why don't we do in the seeder, what is it? Pro seeder and user factory create can I do this? Assign role employee, and then I create another 15 with a client. So that means PHP artisan migrate fresh and PHP artisan db seed. employee for guard web, there is no role named employee. Okay, yep, all right. So yeah, that's where we need this to be activated after this. Okay. So I'm gonna type apps.com. Password is password. And if we go to settings, users, none of them have any roles. Interesting. Okay. What is that? What is assign role requires a role. Array, backdenum, collection, integer, role, or string. So it could be any of those, right? So it might be a mistake in the syntax of the CEDA. So where is factory? Where is it? In the eloquent factories. Okay, probably I can't do what I was hoping to be doing. So after, was it after? All right, under create, sequence count state create. The relationship as post. Belongs to many to many. Okay, has attached. So do I need to grab the actual role in here? So employee role equal role where name, and in here when I create, before create has attached employee role. In this case I don't need to do this weird thing. Let's find out. It says app role employee first. What has failed? Database seeder role not found. Okay. Import this one because we haven't imported. Okay. Y is for the admin seeder. So that's my name. It's active. Looks all right. Model has role. So 1 so that looks perfect as intended. So that might be just a hiccup. Everything looks all right. So why it is app role seeder is being called and admin seeder is being called, then it seems to be fine. So why forbidden? Okay. So employee. This is weird. I'm telling you, this is weird. This is super weird. Let's extract it to its own seeder first. So PHP artisan make seeder for employee seeder. And let's work on that in here. Database seeder. Let's extract this one. And then we add employee seeder here. All right, so what do we want to do here? We want to do this. We need to grab the role. All right, so let's go to here. Let's forget about this one for the time being. And let's dial down employee role. Let's make sure we're actually getting what we want. And here we go, CrewSync. So what do we get? Exactly what we expect. So the issue is not here. Then we create, as per the documentation, which says has attached role. We already have a model that says that you would like to attach the model and you may pass as attachment. In this example, some 3 roles belongs to many has don't think it needs to be has attached because PHP artisan dbc dash What? Forgot. That's what the documentation is for. So running CDA, so dash class equal the class name. So class equal to employee CDA. So what is the issue? Database of algorithm factory must be type of factory, spaghetti permission model given. Okay. Okay, so what is this? It's complaining because I am passing or I'm creating a model in here, and it says it wants a factory. So magic factory relationship. Okay, that's probably a better one, which means we need to get the roles, right? So what we want employees for. So we cut this and 4. And it says has roles, which is the magic method, apparently. So let's try that. Nope. Role factory is not found. Okay, we need to add a name. I don't get this. Absolutely don't get it. User factory. No, it's got nothing to do with it. I have no idea. I have no idea what's the issue, but I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I'm not gonna let it stop me. So database CDA, I will worry about that at later date. And for this one, so 2, I will replicate roles. Model has roles. All right, so 2 has 4, 3 has 4, 4 has 4, and that's enough. Okay. So now in the users employee, I will create 25 of those. And admin client employee, why is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. What have we done here? What are the users? Yep. And we don't need this. Okay. This is role. This is role. This is the model ID. Okay. Got it. All right. So we have 3 employees, which is supposed to be the only 3 that are coming in here. So 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Let's fix our layouts. So that's how, if life doesn't give you what you want, you go by a different way. So now this select will be under a section. Okay, so that's a section, and then let's say that section will have a title of roster details. All right, so roster details. What else do we have inside the rosters? We need the status. We're gonna put that on the right hand side. So here we will add a section. We're gonna add a toggle button for the status. The options are roster status, and they are online, and they are disabled because we don't want it to be manually, or should we allow it manually? Because it's a draft. If the user, if the employee, sorry, if the admin is working on it and he finished, he can just publish it. So we're gonna add some action buttons in here to do those actions. So this is controlled automatically. All right. We need to know the dates from 2. So under here, we're going to add a group, which is made of 2 columns. And we're going to do a date picker for, what did we call it? Starts on and ends on. So let's replicate this, by the way, and it's on, ends on. All right, so from this date to this date. Obviously, I don't want the native. All right, so let's go. Native false. It is required. And native is false, and it is required. All right, so that's it. That's from this date to this date, and for which employee. What else do we need? Okay. And because we're doing this as a draft from the database and we don't have that logic yet, let me remove disabled from here. Okay, disabled in the production version. So the user can manually decide. So let's pick an employee, and it starts from the 1st of December to the 31st of December, and it's load up employee null value employee ID. Why is that? Let's go to the roster. So roster employee ID. What are we doing here? So select make employee ID for the employee. That looks all right. And employee ID is here. So it's complaining. Not null value in column employee ID of relationship. Of relation rosters. Okay, rosters, is it under user? Yep, has many roster where it is employee ID. Okay, cool. All right, easy. No worries. No worries. Don't be sad. So from the 1st to the 31st. Okay, column employee ID of relation rosters evaluation not null. 2 no draft. So it's failing under employee ID. Why is that? Is that a misspell? So user rosters has many roster with the employee ID. Is the migration correct? So rosters, employee ID, correct. And the roster, employee, which belongs to the user, employee ID. In the form, select make employee ID with relationship employee. Modify query. Okay, that is super weird. So let's inspect what's inside here. Is it title attribute? Everything looks all right. Relationship. All right, this is interesting. Relationship employee. It's definitely not a misspelled anyway. User has many rosters where it is employee. And the roster goes to employee where it has user ID with employee. I swear this is how it's done. Don't see a reason for it to fail. Yet it is failing. All right, let's review what we are doing. So it is complaining about of relation rosters, but rosters under the user let's be more explicit by saying ID. I don't see how that is related. Yeah, no. So, fillables roster. It's not user ID, it's employee ID. So in the users, we don't need that extra local key because that's implicit to the ID itself. All right, so That should be working fine. Yep, beautiful, as intended. So now the table, let's work on the table. With the table, we need a text column for the employee.name. And now we don't want it to be sortable. No, yeah, not sortable. Status and text column or starts on, and this is a date, and ends on date. All right, so if we edit that one, well, actually, let's create another roster, which is a published for this guy from the 11th or something like this. Let's create another one that is archived for this guy from this date to this date. And let's create some tabs. All right, again, our usual method of stealing from what we've done already. Rosters, pages, list, and so roster status. Let's make it tab, and where the status is a status, and in here we need to get the roster where that status is equaling to that status. So we have one draft, one published, and one archived. And if we are working on published, and we may want to sort by name, so let's make that sortable. Okay. All right, let's make that sortable. And let's fix the mutate, created by and updated by, and let's do the same here for mutate before save, return the data, and we do the updated by, and then we display them here as well. So created by name, and toggleable is hidden by default, updated by, and we do the same. But we're not going to be say created by, we'll say assigned by. And then assigned by and created by. So if I update this one now, should work, right? Yep, and let's create a new one for this guy from this date to this date. As null value given, that means in the form we need to set this as required. So to prevent the user from not forgetting that. Okay. All right, as intended. All right. right, now roster details. That's going to be a nested resources for the roster entry. Let's do the timesheet. Let's do the timesheet. But before that, let's review timesheets table, which is user. Again, let's fix that. And we say employee ID. So timesheet. So rather than user, we're going to say employee ID. And in the user timesheets, here we just say, hey, it's employee ID, which means we need to migrate all over again. Let's see it again. All right, so let's get somebody as a employee. Not this one, it's this one. Alrighty, we need to edit employee. We go to the timesheet, create a new timesheet. Let's review. So timesheet requires employee, again, just as what we've done with the rosters. So timesheets, let's copy this. All right, because it says timesheet details, it's the same, employees, starts on, ends on, and status. Is it timesheet status? Yeah, timesheet status. And let's not forget to go to the timesheet and not user ID, it's employee ID. So employee, this guy, draft from this date to this date. Let's do the table, which is going to be of the same. And let's not forget create. Let's mutate, return the data, and then don't forget about created by and updated by. Same applies to the edits, which also mutate, but not like this. That's not mutate. All right, oh my God, come on, baby. Return the data and do updated by. All right, updated by, create or assigned by. Of course, we just need to update to see that happening. All right, so cool. All right, start on. Everything looks in order. All right, let's take a rest. And after Tomorrow we will come back and finish, or continue, not finish, there's still heaps. Still heaps to do. All right, so thank you for being here with me, and I will see you tomorrow, and we continue from where we stopped. All right, thanks again. Looking forward to see you tomorrow. Have a good one.